Albert Fritz has been fired from his position as Western Cape MEC for Community Safety following a damning report into his conduct. An independent investigation found there was enough credibility into allegations of sexual misconduct and alcohol abuse, which led to his earlier suspension. For more on this, we're joined by Western Cape Premier Alan Winde. Mr. Winde, thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. So this report from Advocate Jennifer Williams, what did it contain that informed your decision to let him go?
So obviously I was first informed by two of the complainants on the 14th of January, and then the week that followed that a number of extra complainants came forward, so I had 6 altogether. By that Friday night, on the Sunday night of the 21st, I suspended him and called for an independent investigator to be appointed. That was Advocate Jenny Williams that was appointed. She then started her process. She interviewed the 6 that had seen me, but also made it open that she was happy to interview anybody else. And, of course, Audi Ultram Partum, she had the opportunity to speak to Albert Fritz and any witnesses that he wanted to bring forward. She interviewed 18 witnesses altogether. And that happened over the last 3 weeks. She compiled the report. I got it on Sunday night to read. Monday afternoon, I met with her and our legal team, just if there were any clarity points or anything to be cleared up. And then from it, as you said in the introduction, her investigation, albeit not a court of law, her investigation says that considering all of the evidence that she was given, there's sufficient credibility to the allegations of sexual misconduct, of alcohol abuse, and of creating an enabling environment for this abuse to happen. And so with that and sufficient credibility to it, that was all that I need from my position as a premier, given the powers that the Constitution gives me to appoint and dismiss people in our cabinet. And so this is definitely more than enough evidence for me to then say I am firing Albert Fritz, and I informed him of that this morning. Then also met with the complainants who came to me, because I also said to them in this process, I will make sure that they are protected. They were very, very scared in coming forward. And of course now to say to them, this investigation has now been completed, but now the next stage, and Advocate Williams says she thinks there's sufficient here for them to now go forward with laying charges. And so I met with them on that, along with Jennifer Williams. And so now it's up to them, and they are busy contemplating that at the moment for the next steps. But my side now, as whether he can serve in my cabinet or not, that decision has been made, and I have fired him from the cabinet.
So just to get further clarity, criminal charges have not been laid?
No, and what I know of is, as of now, not yet. And I'm just hoping that will be the next stage. But obviously I try to say, can I lay the charges? But unfortunately I'm not able to lay those charges. But I am saying that I'm available. Should the charge be laid, an investigator, I'll make myself available. And obviously also with permission of the individuals, those components of the report will also be made available to that investigation.
Taking a look at the charges or allegations against him: sexual misconduct, alcohol abuse, grooming, which relates to the creation of circumstances which enabled sexual misconduct. Given how critically important this portfolio is, community safety, one, is there a sexual harassment policy? Was he privy to it? Did he commit himself by signing one?
Yeah, I think it goes even further than that, and that's what really makes me angry. I've got all of these emotions, angry, disappointed, can't believe that, this was happening, under your nose. How does this happen? Especially when someone is given the responsibility of safety of the citizens in our province. So that really it's very, very upsetting. It does make me extremely angry that someone can be trusted with this position and, of course, fail the citizens in the way that this has happened. These allegations, coming forward, and this investigation saying that there's credibility or sufficient credibility. It really is worrying. And, of course, this then says to me, even more so than ever before, We need to find ways in which we support people that they can come forward. We need to make sure that in our country, in our province, in government, in business, wherever gender-based violence is raising its head, that we create an environment that protects people sufficiently that they can feel confident to come forward. The witnessing that I've had in this process of how scared people are when they come forward is unbelievable. And so it says to me, we've really got to work on creating that environment to end the scourge that really is something that every man needs to be hanging their head in shame when we see this. We've got to make sure that we stand up as men and we make sure that this ends.
In making sure that this ends, do you have a sexual harassment policy?
Yes, we do. And I mean, that's the next stage, is we've got policies, we've got gender-based violence champions in all of our departments. We've got Minister Fernandez has been putting layers upon layers of various processes in place. She's been holding what she calls courageous conversations. We've been doing a lot of work, and we need to now go back and say, well, what do we need to do differently to enable people to come forward? Because I think that's the big critical question, is when you have these processes and these policies, they're only as good as the environment which enables these cases to be highlighted, dealt with decisively. So I think, we've also got some analysis to do, both as government, and I think also as civil society and businesses, and wherever this takes place. How do we make sure that we are finding that environment, that people feel comfortable, that they can come forward so we can end it?
What did the investigation reveal in terms of how long this had been going on?
So from my side, and what I got was when he was involved in his current position, which was MEC Community Safety. But when the investigation was ongoing, a couple of people came forward from his previous department that also raised issues. So it definitely sounds like this has been going on for quite a long time. And that also then says, how come this is not dealt with, and what is holding people back? And so we've got to ask ourselves those questions. So it seems like it has been happening for quite a while.
What kind of support is being given to the complainants, if at all?
Okay, so initially the immediate support was from our legal team as well as psychosocial, and continuing. As I said today, I met with the individuals saying we're there for you, making sure that they are supported and looked after in this process. Because also bearing in mind, I might have now got a report which enables me to do my job, but for the individuals who came forward, this is still a process of, should they want to lay these charges, they know that there are court processes, and that in itself is traumatic. And so, they've got to be given support in this process.
This allegation of alcohol abuse, was he, giving these young women alcohol?
So that was part of it, creating an environment, alcohol is available, and creating this space in which this happens, which then enables, the alleged sexual misconduct to take place. So it's kind of how it all comes together in the enabling environment.
The portfolio itself is now vacant. Is there a name that you can perhaps provide at this stage? If it's too early, I understand, because this news is just coming in today. But are you looking at somebody to replace him, and whom?
So absolutely. I mean, of course, I have to replace him, but I have got an acting MEC in place, Mr. Henri Marais. And so, while I'm applying my mind, I will then, when the time is ready, make that announcement. So there's no rush to it. Obviously, today's trigger then triggers the next process, but I don't have anybody else.
Thank you very much for the detail. Alan Winde is the Premier of the Western Cape.